Hi, I'm Patrick Perry. About people at work about job get paychecks on a safe. Okay. I like to show you about part-time job Wikipedia and full-time job Wikipedia. I like to show you that is. Okay, this is called the the paychecks. The paychecks at any jobs. What's the name of jobs about to work? You have a part-time or full-time. Now, let me just to show you that is. Let's hear read out loud. Now listen this.
Part-time job. Article. Talk. Read. Edit. View history. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Part-time employment rate, percent, in OECD countries, 1. A part-time job is a form of employment that carries fewer hours per week than a full-time job. They work in shifts. The shifts are often rotational. Workers are considered to be part-time if they commonly work fewer than 30 hours per week. 2. According to the International Labour Organization, the number of part-time workers has increased from 1/4 to a half in the past 20 years in most developed countries, excluding the United States. 2. There are many reasons for working part-time, including the desire to do so, having one's hours cut back by an employer, and being unable to find a full-time job. The International Labour Organization Convention 175 requires that part-time workers be treated no less favorably than full-time workers. 3. In some cases, the nature of the work itself may require that the employees be classified as part-time workers. For example, some amusement parks are closed during winter months and keep only a skeleton crew on hand for maintenance and office work. As a result of this cutback in staffing during the off-season, employees who operate rides, run gaming stands, or staff concession stands may be classified as part-time workers owing to the months-long downtime during which they may be technically employed, but not necessarily on active duty. Part-time contracts in Europe, edit. European Union, edit. In the EU, there is a strong East-West divide, where, in Central and Eastern European countries, part-time work remains a marginal phenomenon even among women, while the Western countries have embraced it much more widely. The highest percentage of part-time work is in the Netherlands, see below, and the lowest in Bulgaria. There is also a gap between women, 32.1% EU average in 2015, and men, 8.9%. 4. The Netherlands has by far the highest percentage of part-time workers in the EU. 5. In 2012, 76.9% of women and 24.9% of men worked part-time. 6. The high percentage of women working part-time has been explained by social norms and the historical context of the country, where women were among the last in Europe to enter the workforce, and when they did, most of them did so on a part-time basis. According to The Economist, fewer Dutch men had to fight in the world wars of the 20th century, and so Dutch women did not experience working for pay at rates women in other countries did. The wealth of the country, coupled with the fact that Dutch politics was dominated by Christian values until the 1980s, meant that Dutch women were slower to enter into the workforce. 7. Research in 2016 led by Professor Stijn Baert, Ghent University, debunked the idea that part-time work by students is an asset for their CV in respect of later employment chances. 8. United Kingdom, edit. See also, UK Labour Law. Part-time Workers Directive. Part-time workers, prevention of less favorable treatment, Regulations 2000, SI 2000/1551. Part-time contracts outside Europe, edit. Australia, edit. Part-time employment in Australia involves a comprehensive framework. Part-time employees work fewer hours than their full-time counterparts within a specific industry. This can vary, but is generally less than 32 hours per week. Part-time employees within Australia are legally entitled to paid annual leave, sick leave, and having maternity leave, etc., except it is covered on a pro rata percentage basis depending on the hours worked each week. Furthermore, as a part-time employee is guaranteed a YOLO roster within a workplace, they are given an annular salary paid each week, fortnight, or month. Employers within Australia are obliged to provide minimum notice requirements for termination, redundancy, and change of rostered hours in relation to part-time workers. 9. As of January 2010, the number of part-time workers within Australia was approximately 3.3 million out of the 10.9 million individuals within the Australian workforce. 10. Canada, edit. In Canada, part-time workers are those who usually work fewer than 30 hours per week at their main or only job. 11. In 2007, just over 1 in every 10 employees aged 25 to 54 worked part-time. A person who has a part-time placement is often contracted to a company or business in which they have a set of terms they agree with. Part-time can also be used in reference to a student, usually in higher education, who works only few hours a day. Usually students from different nations, India, China, Mexico, etc., prefer Canada for their higher studies due to the availability of more part-time jobs. 12. United States, edit. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, working part-time is defined as working between 1 and 34 hours per week. 13. In 2018, between 25 and 28 million Americans worked part-time. 14. Typically, part-time employees in the United States are not entitled to employee benefits, such as health insurance. The Institute for Women's Policy Research reports that females are 9 times likelier than males to work in a part-time capacity over a full-time capacity as a result of caregiving demands of their family members. 15. 16. Increasing use of part-time workers in the United States is associated with employee scheduling software, often resulting in expansion of the part-time workforce, reduction of the full-time workforce, and scheduling which is unpredictable and inconvenient. 17, 18, 19. Motives for part-time work, edit. Part-time work makes it easier to take care of housework and family work after the birth of a child and to continue to work or to get back to work after a baby break and thus reconcile family and work. Part-time jobs leave more time for other activities, such as hobbies, further education, volunteering. 20. Productivity of part-time workers can be higher than that of full-time workers because of lower stress, lower absenteeism, better work-life balance, and a more flexible work organization. 21. 22. Employees who are not fully resilient for health reasons may remain longer in part-time employment, and it can be a smooth transition into retirement. Working less fits the lifestyle of simple living, and earning and spending less can contribute to climate change mitigation. 23. See also, edit. Temporary work. Part-time student. UK labor law. U.S. labor law.
Okay, about the part-time. The part-time, about 4 hours. 4 hours, but be part-time. 4 hours. The next one is full-time. Full-time is, if you have a full-time, you're going to have 8 hours for full-time. The full-time about is hour is 8 hours. 8 hours for full-time. 8 hours. Let's see it read out loud. Now listen this.
Full-time job. Article. Talk. Read. Edit. View history. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. The examples and perspective in this article may not represent a worldwide view of the subject. You may improve this article, discuss the issue on the talk page, or create a new article as appropriate. April 2016, learn how and when to remove this template message. A full-time job is employment in which workers work a minimum number of hours defined as such by their employer. Overview, edit. Full-time employment often comes with benefits that are not typically offered to part-time, temporary, or flexible workers, such as annual leave, sick leave, and health insurance. Part-time jobs are mistakenly thought by some to not be careers. However, legislation exists to stop employers from discriminating against part-time workers, so this should not be a factor when making decisions on career advancement. They generally pay more than part-time jobs per hour, and this is similarly discriminatory if the pay decision is based on part-time status as a primary factor. The Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, does not define full-time employment or part-time employment. This is a matter generally to be determined by the employer, U.S. Department of Labor. The definition by the employer can vary and is generally published in a company's employee handbook. Companies commonly require from 32 to 40 hours per week to be defined as full-time and therefore eligible for benefits. Full-time status varies between company and is often based on the shift the employee must work during each work week. The standard work week consists of 5 8-hour days, commonly served between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., totaling 40 hours. While a 4-day week generally consists of 4 10-hour days, it may also consist of as little as 9 hours for a total of a 36-hour work week. 12-hour shifts are often 3 days per week, unless the company has the intention of paying out the employee overtime. Overtime is legally paid out any time an employee works more than 40 hours per week. The legal minimum for overtime starts at base pay plus 1/2. The increased payout is considered to compensate slightly for the increased fatigue which a person experiences on such long shifts. Shifts can also be very irregular, as in retail, but are still full-time if the required number of hours is reached. There are some situations where a person who needs full-time work is dropped to part-time, which is sometimes a form of constructive dismissal to avoid paying unemployment benefits to a laid-off worker. Definitions by country, edit. Full-time work weeks. Australia, approximately 38 hours, 1. Belgium, 38 hours. Brazil, 40 to 44 hours, citation needed. Chile, 45 hours, citation needed. Canada, 37.5 hours to 40.0 hours. Denmark, 37 hours. France, 35 hours, government mandated, 2. Germany, 35 to 40 hours. Iceland, 40 hours. India, 48 hours. As per the Factories Act 1948, a person cannot work for more than 48 hours in a week. Taiwan, 40 hours, 3. Israel, 43 hours. Italy, 40 hours. Netherlands, 35 to 40 hours, 4. Norway, 40 hours, 5, often regulated to 37.5 excluding lunch break. Poland, 40 hours. Russia, 40 hours. Sweden, 40 hours, not formally defined, 6. Turkey, 45 hours, not formally defined, 7. United Kingdom, 35 hours, not formally defined, 8, 37.5 hours, or 40 hours contracts are all commonplace. United States, 30 hours or more, according to the definitions in the Affordable Care Act, 9, 10, 11, 12, the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, does not define full-time employment or part-time employment. This is a matter generally to be determined by the employer. 13. The FLSA does, however, define the 8-hour day and thus sets the maximum workweek at 40 hours. 14. but provides that employees working beyond 40 hours a week receive additional overtime bonus salaries. 15. However, in practice, only 42% of employees work 40-hour weeks. The average workweek for full-time employees is 47 hours. 16. Increasingly, employers are offering compressed work schedules to employees. Some government and corporate employees now work a 9/80 work schedule, 80 hours over 9 days during a 2-week period, commonly 9-hour days Monday to Thursday, 8 hours on one Friday, and off the following Friday. A person working more than full-time is working overtime and may be entitled to extra per-hour wages, but not salary. 17. Academic usage edit. Full-time can also be used in reference to a student, usually in higher education, who takes a full load of coursework each academic term. The distinction between a full-time and part-time student varies markedly from country to country. As an example, in the United States, a student is commonly defined as being in full-time education when they undertake 12 or more credit hours. This translates to 12 hours, often of 50 minutes instead of 60 minutes each, in class per week. Lab hours often count for less, only as 1/2 or 1/3 of a credit hour. International students must maintain full-time status for student visas. 18. Adult students, typically up to age 22 or 23, may also fall under their parents' health insurance, and possibly car insurance and other services, if they are full-time, except for 1 term per year, usually summer. Students may also be eligible for elected office in student government or other student organizations only if they are full-time. The Department of Labor has a full-time student program which allows employers to pay no less than 85% of the minimum wage to the student/employee. 19. See also, edit. Look up full-time job in Wiktionary, the free dictionary. 8-hour day. Employment. Full-time equivalent. Wage labor.
Okay, about that is, remember about jobs. Remember, get the paychecks on the safe. Remember, get the paychecks on the safe. Well, who like my videos? I hope you'll like it. Well, maybe that's it.